Hi guys, my name is Brandon with Topo. Today we're here talking about our 2023 Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro in the octane orange color. Today the purpose of this is to go through the vehicle and show you guys how to use it and some of the features so that you're ready to go and hit the trails when you pick up the rig from us. So first and foremost, just want to point out some of the main features of the truck. So we do have Fox shocks and Dirt King upper control arms on the suspension. We're running 285/75/16 BFG all-terrain tires. We've got a Gaia Camper with rooftop tent on the vehicle, a Sherpa Animus rack up here with some traction boards, and then we've got a Sunflare 180 watt solar panel that's keeping the batteries topped off for the fridge to run. Coming towards the rear of the vehicle, we do have an aluminum rear bumper to give you a little bit of extra clearance on the trails. And then we've got our Darchie 270-degree awning here. Beautiful awning, spans the whole width of the vehicle, front and rear. Like I said, 270 degrees. We'd like to talk about some of our rules of the road. We obviously want you guys to have fun and enjoy the vehicles, but there's some specific rules to help protect the vehicles and your safety. So first and foremost, we are a get you to off-grid camping location vehicle rental company, not a beat the heck out of the truck on four-wheel drive trails company. We have to do that for insurance purposes as well as safety of the vehicles. So it's important that you guys follow those rules and don't do any extreme off-roading. So there's no rock crawling, no sand dunes, no mudding, and no water crossings. When you guys are planning out your trails, you need to be very careful and specific about what you're planning and stick to easy to moderate trails and be ready to turn around if a trail that said it was easy turns out to not be so easy because of a storm or whatever it may be. Again, we want you guys to be able to use the four-wheel drive systems and have fun in the vehicle, but we want to keep doing these trips for people, and in order to do that, we need to protect our vehicles. So next we're going to talk about some of the armor protection on the vehicle. Underneath the truck, we're running a front and mid skid to help protect from rocks and things on the trail. And then over here on the side, we've got some rock sliders to also help protect while you're out on the trail so nothing gets damaged. We're inside the vehicle now, and we're going to run through all the vehicle systems so that you guys get acclimated with how to use all of the systems inside. So the first thing we like to talk about is this is an automatic vehicle, right? So the shifter is right here. You do have gears that you can use. This vehicle is a very heavy vehicle, so it's really beneficial to use the gear shifter. You just bring it down and over, and then you can shift like a manual mode. I like to use this a lot off-road. The truck is super capable off-road, so you don't need to be in four-wheel drive all the time, especially if you're using your gears. Also, like I mentioned, the truck is very heavy, so when you're on the freeway or on roads, just make sure that you're giving yourself plenty of room to stop because of the extra weight in the vehicle. Our emergency brake is right here. It's just a push-pull, and then our hazard lights are right here. Next up, we want to talk about the four-wheel drive systems. So this does have what's called four-wheel drive on the fly. So all we're going to be doing is we can be going down the road 40 miles an hour or less, and all we're going to do is turn this knob right here to 4 high for 4 high. If you need to stop and put it into 4, if you need to put it into 4 low, you need to stop, put the vehicle in neutral, and then push that over to 4 low. Once you're in 4 low, you do have access to some additional 4x4 features. So if we look up here, we have this button right here, which is our rear locking differential. So that's going to lock both wheels at the same time and send power to both wheels. So if you're stuck, if you're climbing a hill, you're going down something steep, that can be very beneficial. We also have multi-train select and crawl control here. Crawl control is a great feature if you get stuck. There's manuals in the glove box that you can read about it. You do need to be in 4 low to use that. Again, read about it if you need to use it. If you're using the locking rear differential and the crawl control, realistically, you're probably somewhere that you're not supposed to be with the rig, but we want to point those features out so that if you do get stuck or you have an issue, you can get the vehicle back safely. Okay, next up as far as the off-road systems go is airing up and airing down. So in here we have a little kit for you guys. And then there's a compressor in the back that we'll show you a little later on in the walkthrough. But the purpose of airing down is a few things. It's one, for traction. 2, comfortability. If you're on a washboard road and you don't air down, it's going to be a lot more bumpy than if you take some air out of the tires. And then 3, to protect the tires. We don't want you to get a flat out on the road. It's going to, you know, ruin your day basically. So it's important to air down if the terrain dictates that. So if it's super rocky, if it's loose sand, things like that, you want to take some air out. We've done a little sticker up here for you guys to show the tire pressure as well. So in this particular rig, we run 36 to 40 PSI on the road. So anywhere in that range is okay. And then we run anywhere from 18 to 25 off-road. If you get stuck, you can definitely go lower than 18, say down to 12 or 14, but you don't want to risk popping a bead. So only go that low if you absolutely need to. I would always start at the like 25 range and then go down from there depending on the terrain and if you're still having traction issues. What goes down has to go back up again. So airing back up takes a little bit of time, so there's no need to take excess air out if you don't need to, right? Okay, so in this kit, we have some quick connects for deflating the tires. So there's 4 of these in each kit, and they screw onto the valve stem, right? So you're gonna take the valve stem cap off, you're gonna put this on, and then you're gonna open this up, and then air is gonna start to come out, right? Once the air is coming out, you know you're airing down. So the process is, for me at least, I start in the front driver corner, and I put one there, and then I move to the next one and put one there, and so on and so forth till I'm back to the driver's side. Once I'm back up to the front driver's side, I check my pressure. There's a digital gauge on the dash here that you can go arrow over to so you can see your tire pressure, or we have a gauge in here as well. This is definitely a simpler version, but you have to take this off and might have to put it back on to let more air out if you're not where you want to be. When you're airing back up, again, we have a compressor in the back that will show you, but you're going to want to start the vehicle, and you're going to alligator clamp positive and negative, just like jumper cables, to the battery, and then you're going to air up 1 tire at each time. So there's a gauge that's on the compressor, so it's a little easier with that. You can see where you're at, or again, you can use the digital gauge on here as well. Either way will work. Okay, next up we want to talk about this little guy right here. So if for some reason you do have to change a tire, this is the wheel key to be able to do that. There's a torque wrench in the back, and we'll show you that. We also give you what's called puncture kits and patch kits for the tires. So it's easier to repair the tire a lot of the times than it is to put the spare on. We do have a spare tire on here for you, but always try to patch or plug beforehand. So we'll show you that when we get to the back. Okay, next up we want to show you guys some of the controls on the steering wheel, right? So you've got your volume controls and song controls over here. You got some different arrows that control things on the dash, and then the big one is your cruise control right here. So if you guys like to use the cruise control, you're going to need to push that button and push it down to set it, and then you can operate it up and down from there. One thing I like to point out is this little button on the top right here. So this is for your adaptive cruise control. It's set to like 3 bars. You want to push that down twice to where it's at 1 bar so it doesn't stop you too far away from the vehicle in front of you. Okay, next up we want to talk about some of our systems here, right? So the vehicle's equipped with CarPlay. Unfortunately, you have to use a cord for that. So anything that's plugged into this specific USB right here, plug your phone in, and now you have CarPlay. The cool thing about that is you can use your maps, you can use Gaia, you can use Onyx, any music, any of those things will display on the screen there. So that's a really cool feature that you can use, right? You have all of these buttons here that you can navigate through this system. You do have satellite maps on here as well, but again, I like to use the CarPlay and just have my maps up there. But if you're in a place that doesn't have service, it does have satellite GPS on there that you're more than welcome to use. Next up, we like to talk about some of our comfort controls. So we've got our air conditioning and heater module here, so feel free to use that as needed. This particular vehicle is equipped with heated seats. So you've got the control for the driver's side here, control for the passenger side here. Super cool feature. We do have a push to start here. So when you're starting the vehicle, you need to have your foot on the brake, and then you push that button to start the vehicle and you're good to go. Down here, we've got our blind spot monitoring. We keep that off because of the rear bumper, so otherwise it's going to be giving you a warning all the time, so we keep that off, okay? We have our parking sensors here that you can turn on or off depending on your comfort there. We have a rear window button here, so you can crack the rear window if you'd like. The camper is very close to the window, so it does make quite a bit of noise, so we don't personally use that feature often, but it's up to you how you want to handle that. Next up is this little wireless phone charging button over here. So you can set your phone down here and this little cubby, and then you can turn that button on and this little light will light up if it's charging, okay? This cord right here runs to the back for charging our Jackery power station. We'll go through that with you a little bit later. You can obviously unplug that and plug any sort of DC power needs into that as well. Next up, we've got our glove box. So this is where your paperwork is going to be kept. So we also have the registration of the vehicle in here and the manuals like I mentioned earlier. We'll also put your paperwork packet in there, so everything, if you get pulled over, there's an accident or anything like that, you have access to everything super easily there. Right here we have a little phone holder, so you just slide it open to put your phone in there. Just please be careful pulling on it because it's tied in there. It is really tight, and it won't bounce around too much, but just be careful putting any weight on that. Okay, that concludes everything on the front inside of the vehicle. We're gonna now move to the back and show you guys a few more things. Okay, now we've moved to the back of the vehicle and we're gonna talk about some of the gear back here. So first couple things, we always have 2 headlamps in the vehicle for you guys. So feel free to use those. There's usually extra batteries in the center consoles as well if you run out of battery. We also have a nice toolkit here for you. Quite a bit of things in there in case you need to fix anything out on the road. If we pop open this seat right here, this is where we have our torque wrench. So if you have to change a tire, this will help do that. The torque specs are printed on there for you, and so just make sure you double check that and set it properly if you do have to change a tire. And then remember, the wheel key is in the center console as well, so you'll need both of those things to change the tire. Next up, we have our puncture kit and our patch kit. So with our puncture kit, if you get a hole in the tread of the tire, you're gonna be able to plug that tire. So if we take a look in here, all the instructions are in here and the equipment needed to be able to do so. So instructions are here, you can read through it and fix the tire if you need to. The patch kit is for the sidewall. So if you get a gash in the sidewall, you can glue this on there and repair the tire that way. Both of these things are meant to get you off the trail. It's not advisable to continue moving on off-roading without going and getting it properly fixed, right? But again, it'll get you off the trail in a pinch. Next up behind this seat, we have a couple things. First being our first aid kit, okay? So it's a small first aid kit, but it'll get the job done. Next up, we have our lithium ion jump starter. So this is just like regular jumper cables. You're gonna positive and negative clamp it to the battery. You're gonna turn it on and then you're gonna start the truck and it's gonna get you going again. This truck does have a single AGM battery that the fridge is running off of, and then we've got our 180 watt solar panel on the roof that's keeping the battery topped off. But it is possible that if you're stationary for a long time, you might kill the battery. So we keep one of these in here for you so you can get the truck started again. And then the last thing on this side is our Smittybilt air compressor. So this is going to get you to be able to air up the tires. So again, you got to start the truck, and then we're going to walk up here and show you. You're going to want a positive and negative connect, just like jumper cables. And then you're going to connect all the quick connects on the hoses, and then you're going to air up one tire at a time. Moving to the opposite side of the vehicle. We've got our fire extinguisher right here, okay? And then under this seat is where all of the stock jack and stuff for changing a tire is. This truck is lifted, so in certain situations the stock jack will work, but we also have what's called a balloon jack that we'll show you in a few minutes. That is basically a big balloon that you can put under the sliders or the differential or whatever it may be. hook the compressor up to that, and it's gonna inflate and lift up the truck so that you can change the tire. Now we're gonna talk about our Darchi 270-degree awning and show you guys how to open that up. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna grab these black straps. There's two straps, a short strap and a long strap. So we're gonna grab these, we're gonna set them on the tailgate back here, and then we're gonna go ahead and open our awning. So first things first, we're just gonna unzip it. And then we're gonna undo our straps. And just make sure the bag is out of the way. The first panels are gonna come out towards the rear of the vehicle. And then the last two come out towards the front of the vehicle. So we just kind of get it set up like that first. Then we're going to come back over here and we're going to grab this end and we're going to bring it around over here. And we're going to grab one of our straps and we're going to hook it to right here and just tighten that down. And then we're going to grab our other strap and we're going to come to the front of the vehicle. And we're going to go like this. Run this over the top. Hook it to the rack. And then cinch it down. So these are unfortunately not freestanding awnings, which means we need to put poles down for support. So the awning comes with 3 poles. You don't need to take them off to close the awning, they stay in there. So we're gonna come over here and we're gonna get our first pole, we're gonna unstrap it and we're gonna bring it down and extend it and lock it in place by turning it. Next pole, same thing. And then the last one is over here on this side. Okay, and then we're just going to adjust the level of it. Okay, so from there you're good to go. The only exception to that is if it's windy. So if it's super windy, you don't want to have the awning out at all because you're going to risk it ripping off of the camper, and that's a very expensive mistake. So if there's wind, you got to be really careful, okay? If there's a little bit of wind, usually it's okay like this. An extra precaution is back here. There's a green bag that's in the seat storage, and there's some rope and some tie downs and some stakes in there, so you can tie off to here or anywhere on here basically, tie down, stake it down, and that's going to give you a little bit of extra protection. But again, if it's really windy, please don't put the awning out, especially at night. If you're going to bed and there's some wind, it's best to just fold the awning back up. You don't need to completely put it away, but it's best to at least fold it up so the wind doesn't catch it in the middle of the night and cause a big problem. Yeah. Okay, now we're going to show you how to close up the awning. It's basically the reverse of what we just did. So each of our trucks comes with a Jackery portable power station. So this is an awesome piece of equipment. You've got AC power as well as DC power. So if you want to check your charge, you can hit the display, and we got 98% charge right now. If we had it plugged into power, it would be showing input right here. So, and then if we're using something, it would be showing the output, right? If you want to use anything here, you got to turn on that port, and then anything that's in that box will be live, right? So if you want to use DC power, this or any of these, you turn that on. You can use both at the same time. You just got to make sure that whatever you're plugging in combined is not more than 1,000 watts. Otherwise, it's going to trip it and potentially break it. For recharging it, each one has a DC cord. So this gets plugged into the DC outlet inside the truck, and then you plug it in right here, and then as you're driving, it's gonna recharge it. You only wanna do that while you're driving or while the vehicle is started, otherwise you're gonna kill the main house battery of the truck. Okay, this rig is equipped with a Dometic CFX fridge. So this is ran by the AGM battery, the house battery, that's also hooked up to a charge controller and then a solar panel. So the solar panel is constantly keeping the battery topped off while you're stationary, as long as there's sun. And then while you're driving, the alternator is also charging the battery to help keep the fridge running. So unless you're stationary for a few days at a time, you'll have more than enough power to run the fridge. Worst case, if you start to run into power issues, there's an additional cord inside this pocket right here that can be hooked up to our Jackery power station. And then you can hook that up at night when you don't have solar chopping off the battery, just to help protect the life of the battery. So when you're turning the fridge on and off, there's a control module over here on this side. So we've got our power button right here. And then you can arrow down and then click OK to set the temperature. And I usually run these at about 34 degrees. You're more than welcome to do more or less, but the fridge will be pre-cooled and ready for you when you arrive at 34 degrees. When you drop the vehicle off, if you're doing a contactless drop, as in we're not here to receive the vehicle from you, you're gonna wanna turn this fridge off and prop it open with something so that it airs out. Okay, next up is our tent. This camper and tent system is from a company called Gaia Campers. Very nice setup, nice mattress inside to keep you comfortable. Just to kind of talk through some of the exterior features of the tent, we've got our windows and doors basically. So all of them have protective coverings as well as screens. So at night, if it's cold, you can put the covers up, or you can have the screens open if it's nice outside. One thing to note is even if it's really cold, you want to keep the windows cracked so that it helps with condensation. If you lock up all the windows, you're going to have more condensation in there. So how we get into the tent is through the back of the camper. So we're going to come back here, we're going to open the hatch, and then both of these two panels right here are on gas struts. So you can just push them up like this, okay? And then now we can climb up in here, and then we can also lift up this part as well so that we have lots of room back here if you want to change or whatever, right? So if we're sleeping, we're going to keep this side down and this side down, and then one person's going to be able to climb up through this hatch right here, okay? The camper's also equipped with some lighting right here. So this top switch is for the rear camper lights, and then this secondary switch down here is for the puck lighting that's up in the camper. So when you're going to bed at night, you want to turn this switch on and then go up there and turn, there's little buttons on the pucks. Turn those both on so you have your lighting on up there, and then you're going to turn your back camper lighting off. That way you don't have to reach down here once you're already up there to go to sleep, okay? That's the basic gist of the tent. So when we're closing the tent, we want to make sure that all of these panels are down. So we're going to close both panels, and then we're going to close this hatch, and we're going to climb up here, and we're going to pull on this guy. And then as we're doing that, we just want to tuck in all of our materials so it's out of the way. And then we just latch our latches here. And that's it on closing the tent. When we open it, it's just the opposite of that. So we're gonna pop our latches, and then we're gonna put it straight up, and you're good to go. You can literally be camping within 5 minutes of pulling up to camp. Okay, so now we want to talk about the kit that's included in the price of your rental vehicle. So this kit is standard in this truck. It's set up for 2 people. Really all you need to do is bring your food and your clothes and you're good to go. So we're going to run through it real quick. So first up is our balloon jack. So we mentioned that earlier. That's to help lift up the truck if you got to change the tire. We include a small axe and a shovel as well. This is your camp table. It's a nice big extended table for cooking on, eating on, whatever you need. We always include 2 camp chairs as well. Moving over to here, we've got our nice Coleman stove. So this is a propane stove. We give you 2 canisters to start every trip, and then it's got a burner on one side and a grill on the other. We also include a nice big camp rug for you. There's stakes to help stake that down in the truck as well. We always include a 7-gallon water container for you. We do not fill these for you because everyone has a different taste for water. So we give you them empty, but you can fill them up at the grocery store or wherever you'd like. Next up is our bedding. So we always include 2 sleeping bags. These are either 0 to 20-degree sleeping bags, depending on the temperature. More than enough to keep you guys warm. We include 2 pillows and then 2 extra blankets. These can be used for extra blankets up in the tent or out at the campfire as well. Lastly, we have our cooking utensils. So in this truck, there's 2 boxes that have all the equipment. So first up here, in this compartment, we've got 2 silverware, 1 for each person. So you got a fork, knife, and a spoon in each one. In here, we've got our cooking utensils. So this is things like our wine opener, knives, spatulas, things like that to help you cook. We've got 2 nice aluminum plates and then a couple plastic bowls and plates as well. We also have a French press in here for making coffee. We've got a small camping style pots and pans set. 2 Topoterra coffee cups, and then a small cast iron pan. In this crate over here, we've got our trash bags. So we always start you with a couple trash bags for the trip. Depending how long you're gone, you may need to get more, but that's a good starter pack. We've got our dish towel. We've got our 2 propane canisters for running the propane stove. We've got our set here for doing dishes. So we've got soap and 2 sponges. We've got a thing of foil for you. In this compartment, we always keep a lighter for the stove. And then we've got our sink for doing dishes and then our drying rack for dishes. So that's our full gear kit for the truck. Now we're going to close it up and show you how to use the locks. So the key for the locks is this right here. So we're going to close it down. We're going to push both of them closed. And then we're going to go ahead and turn them to lock them. So these locks can get a little sticky. So when you're opening it, what I like to do is open it, push the button and pull with the key at the same time just to give it a little leverage to come out easier.